You know, we've all been there, right? You're scrolling late at night and then, boom, your online cart is suddenly full. But what actually makes us click that buy button? Well, today we're going to play detective and unpack the hidden psychology behind our online shopping habits. Let's get into it.
So, just think for a second about the last thing you bought online. Why that specific item? Why from that website? Did it feel like a totally random impulse, or were there some hidden forces guiding your hand? It turns out there's a kind of code to it all, and we are about to crack it.
And our case file for this investigation comes from this really interesting study out of Jordan. A team of researchers there surveyed 220 online shoppers to figure out exactly what's going on in that journey from just browsing to actually buying. So let's open up the file and look at the clues they found.
All right, our investigation kicks off with the first big clue. And trust me, it's a powerful one. They call it the crowd effect. Yeah, it seems we're definitely not shopping in a vacuum.
Now, the official term the researchers used is groups reference, which, it's really just a scientific way of talking about what we all know as social proof. It's this simple but incredibly powerful idea that what other people think, their reviews, their opinions, their feedback, it all has a huge impact on what we decide to do. I mean, think about it. When you see frequently bought together on a site or a product that has thousands of 5-star reviews, that's the crowd effect, right there in action.
So you might be wondering, how do you even measure something as vague as the crowd? Well, the researchers broke it down into these 4 key things. They looked at specific opinions from other people, like you'd read in the comments. Then there's the general feedback. Think star ratings, thumbs ups, that kind of thing. They also looked at the overall attitude, and finally, the bigger public perception of a brand. Put them all together, and you've got a way to quantify social proof.
Okay, let's move on to our second clue. This is where the whole decision-making process starts to get a lot more personal. It's what we're calling the usefulness test.
Usefulness perception. That's the internal math we all do, sometimes without even realizing it. We're firing off all these quick questions in our head. Is this thing actually going to solve my problem? Is this website a breeze to use, or is it a total headache? Is this going to make my life simpler? It's that fundamental is it worth it test that any product or any website has to pass before we even think about clicking buy.
And the study found that our sense of usefulness is really shaped by 3 main things. First, our own past experiences, right? Has something like this worked for us before? Second, the level of enjoyment. Is the website actually kind of fun to use? And third, this interesting one called the subjective norm, which is basically that feeling that this is the product everyone in our circle is supposed to have. It's what we feel is expected.
And that brings us to our third and final clue in this mystery. And this might just be the most important one of all, the trust factor. Because without this, the whole thing just falls apart.
Now, in this study, product quality meant a whole lot more than just if the item was well made. It's really a stand-in for trust in the entire process. Can you trust that the product is going to match the photo and the description? Can you trust the seller to actually ship it? Can you trust that they'll help you out if something goes wrong? It's about that total peace of mind.
So the researchers measured this trust factor based on these 3 pillars. First, does it meet customer expectations? Did you get what you thought you were paying for? Second, are the product specs accurate? No nasty surprises when you open the box. And third, what was the quality of the service you received? Everything from shipping speed to customer support. You nail these 3, and you build the trust you need to make a sale.
Okay, so this is the moment of truth, the big reveal. This table lays out the results of the investigation, and honestly, the takeaway here is incredible. Just look down that last column. Check, 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 check. Every single hypothesis was supported. The crowd effect, usefulness, and quality don't just get you thinking about buying. The data proved they all have a direct positive impact on you actually making that final purchase. Our clues, they were the real deal all along.
So we have all our clues, the results are in, and they're conclusive. Now it's time to put all the pieces together and officially crack the online shopping code once and for all.
Here it is. This is the path to purchase. It's a clear, logical chain reaction. First, you've got the influence of the crowd, your own personal judgment about how useful something is, and your level of trust. Those 3 things combine to create a really powerful intention to buy. And once that intention gets strong enough, it leads directly to the final decision. One thing leads to the next.
So what's the big takeaway here? That click to buy now isn't random at all. It is the final step in a very predictable journey. It's a decision that's been built, maybe without you even noticing, on a foundation of social proof, how useful you think it is, and most importantly, trust. You've just learned the blueprint for your own buying habits.
And that just leaves us with one last question to think about. Now that you know the code that influences so many of your decisions, are you going to be a more conscious shopper? Or, hey, if you're on the other side of the screen, will you use this code to build more trust and create better experiences for your customers? The choice, of course, is yours.